Welcome back to my channel. I am Roger. In the video today, I'm going to be looking at memory. I'm going to be looking at the types of memory, RAM and ROM. And I'm going to be looking really at the role that each plays in the devices that we use. You know, the smartphones, the laptops, the tablet. By the end of the video, you should have a better understanding of how RAM, especially how it fits into the scheme of things, and really, you know, if you were to go out and to purchase a device, you should have a much better understanding of, you know, what to look for. All right, so let's jump right into the video.
The first thing I want you to take note of is that physically they are different. What you're looking at here is an illustration of RAM, and this is an illustration of ROM. Let's just do a comparison of the two types of memory. Firstly, random access memory, that's RAM, and it is so called because there are locations on the memory module. Now, when I say location here, think about the room. So perhaps you may be in a room right now. In the room, there are different physical locations. So you're in a room, and this very moment you're listening, you're watching this video, you are in a particular position in the room. You perhaps maybe at the back of the room, or the front of the room, or to one side, or to the other side, or in the middle. All right, so there are different physical locations in the room. Similarly, for the memory, there are different locations on the memory. So when the computer stores anything on the memory, it is storing it at a specific location, and that can be done randomly. So by random, meaning that you can go directly to that location, to that memory location. Now, RAM is a memory that is volatile, which means that the memory module is erased each time the computer or the device it is in is shut down, or, you know, whenever it loses electricity. So it is volatile. That in itself is a limitation. It means that it is temporary. The thing too is that whatever is stored in it, so whether it's data, information, or programs, they are stored on transistors electrically. Now, the purpose of RAM, listen keenly here now, the purpose of RAM is to store data, information, or programs that are currently used. Right now, I am doing this presentation. I am using a presentation software. The presentation software is being housed right now in the RAM of this laptop that I'm using. Also, you are watching the presentation on YouTube on your device, and your web browser which you're using to watch the video is stored in your device's RAM. All right, just to give you an idea of, you know, how it comes in, how it fits into the scheme of things. Okay. Also, it plays a critical role. So there's an intimate relationship here now between RAM and the CPU, that's the central processing unit, in that when data is to be processed, the data is fetched from RAM, taken over to the CPU to be processed, and after processing, the result is put back into RAM. So that is crucial to understanding, you know, how it fits in the scheme of things. So just to recap, two significant things is that whatever application, whatever software, whatever program, anything at all that you have running currently on your device will be stored in RAM. And also, where data processing is concerned, it has its purpose in that the instructions are fetched from RAM by the CPU, that's the control unit in CPU, taken over to the CPU, processed, and then the result put back in RAM. Yes, so yeah. All right. Now, additionally, the amount of RAM and the type of RAM that a device will depend on the type of device. And is it upgradable? Well, it depends. It depends. If you are using something like a laptop, desktop, computer, a server, the memory in those devices are upgradable. If, however, you are using something like a smartphone or a tablet, iPad, iPhone, those memory are not upgradable. I'm going to be shedding some more light on this a little later. Now, turning our attention to ROM, that's read-only memory, and this now is non-volatile, which means that whatever is stored on this memory chip, is a chip, is permanent. It cannot be changed. So, if, for instance, the device is shut down, if it loses power, whatever is stored on RAM would still be there even after you switch the device back on. So it is not dependent on electricity being supplied on the device, and it is designed specifically this way for this reason that I'm going to explain to you now. Now, the thing is that devices without software, devices really are dumb. They can't do anything. And so the engineers, they would have come up with some idea to create these things called software, which will then tell the device, what to do, how to do it, and so forth. And that includes even when you switch on the device, what it should do. So you press the power button on a device, and immediately there are what I refer to as firmware that are stored in the ROM chip. The instructions become active and start now telling the device exactly step by step what it is to do. So typically for something like a laptop or a desktop, it will go through what is referred to as a boot process. And in the boot process, you switch on the device, it will check specific components to ensure that they are present, to ensure that they are working properly. Things like the memory, video card, the processor. And after doing that check, you will typically hear a single beep. So you hear beep, then it moves to the next process where you will see the splash screen for the operating system displayed on the device, the screen of the device. That now is where the operating system is being loaded into the device's memory. What I just described is the boot process, and all of those instructions are stored in ROM. So that is really the purpose of ROM, to store frequently used instructions, right? Or whatever tasks the device does frequently, it would need instructions to tell it, what to do and how to do it. And those instructions are what are stored in the ROM chip. Now, is ROM upgradable? It depends. It depends. We're going to be looking at some variations where ROM is concerned, as in, well, let me just give some clarification here. When I say it depends, let me first of all say that there are different variations of ROM, read-only memory. So there are PROM, EPROM, EEPROM. Some of the variations are upgradable, which means that you can change the content. But where ROM, read-only memory, is concerned, it is not upgradable, which means that once the information is stored there, or instructions, it cannot be changed. Let us look at some types of RAM now. And the first one is CAM. And this means compressed attached memory module. This now is very new. It's new. It's a new type of memory developed by Dell. CAM is a game changer in that it is a SODIMM replacement. SODIMM is a type of memory that is used in laptops. Dell, as I mentioned, is the creator of CAM, and they have the patent on it, which means that as it is right now, there's no company on earth who legally can replicate this type of memory. What is being predicted is that Dell is going to be giving some company the license to produce them, and you know, make them available to other tech companies. There are different types of DDR, and DDR means double data rate. The reason for this name, and the name basically reflects its capability, and it is that in a single cycle, clock cycle, the system is able now to move or to transfer twice the amount of data. Yes, in one clock cycle. There are different types. So we have DDR5, 4, 3, 2, and of course there was DDR. But DDR was not referred to as DDR1, it was just referred to as DDR. Where we are also is that we're transitioning, currently we're transitioning, so this is now, you know, the last month of 2022. We are now transitioning from DDR4 to DDR5. So if you're going to be purchasing a new laptop, you know, try to, you know, see if you purchase one that has DDR5 memory. Memory comes in different speed and size, so this is something that you need to pay attention to when you're going to be making a purchase. You're going to be purchasing a device. But guess what? The speed is only more so applicable to things like laptops, desktops, or if you're going to be, you know, getting a server. And of course, you know, at that level, you know, a system admin would know all of this information already. So this is not applicable to you if you are going to be purchasing a tablet or a smartphone. All right. Now, the reason for the applicability is that the memory has to complement the bus speed of the motherboard, and that is why it is important where, you know, laptops, desktops, and servers are concerned. The rating is in megahertz, and notice the range here. So 1600 would be for legacy memory. So you're talking about like DDR2 thereabout would be 1600 megahertz. Currently, the 32 megahertz would be applicable to DDR4 memory. Then the sizes, notice the sizes. So they double as it increases. The 2 gigabyte here, this now would be for like legacy memory. So you wouldn't find, for instance, DDR4 or 5 memory coming in 2 gigabyte. That is for desktops, laptops, servers. Well, you wouldn't be having 2 gigabyte of memory in your server. All right. So it maxes out at 32 gigabytes. So these are actually sticks of memory, so it is like one module. But of course, you can have on your, let's just say on your laptop, your laptop can even perhaps accommodate 64 gigabytes of memory. So you may have, for instance, 2 slots on the memory board, on the motherboard, in which you can put 32 sticks of memory. Now let's just talk about ROM. And earlier I mentioned that ROM means read-only memory, and once instructions are written to ROM, that's it. Can't change it. It's permanent. ROM is what stores the device's firmware, and the firmware now are those instructions which tells the device, you know, how to function. So we have different variations. We have PROM, which is programmable read-only memory, and this is a ROM chip which is unprogrammed. So you purchase the chip blank, program it, and then that's it. So once you program it, whatever you store on it cannot be changed, it cannot be removed. And because of that, it is referred to as a one-time programmable. That's OTP. And this is done electrically. Then we have EPROM, which means erasable and programmable ROM, and this can be erased and reprogrammed repeatedly. This, of course, is done using ultraviolet light. And then now we have EEPROM, which means electrically erasable and programmable ROM, and this now is erased electrically. So that's the difference in terms of the process or the technology behind the two. EPROM uses ultralight, and EEPROM electrical pulses. EEPROM is what you would find in a smartphone. We are here in Jamaica. I'm here in Jamaica, and if we don't manufacture cell phones here, smartphones here. So you go overseas. Let's just say you go to the USA, you get a cell phone or you purchase a cell phone online. It comes here. What happens? You notice that it cannot work immediately on any of our networks. You notice that you have to take it to a technician, phone technician, and they will flash it, so that it can then be able to work on any of our two networks here. That is because it has this thing here, EEPROM, right? EEPROM chip, and even after flashing it, you can reflash it again multiple times. All right, so you're purchasing a laptop or a desktop. You need RAM. What type of RAM do you get? How much and so forth? Let's talk about that here. So the first thing is you have to consider the upgradability of the device. Where RAM here is concerned, no, this is not applicable. Where upgradability is concerned, if you have something like a smartphone or a tablet, the RAM in those devices are not upgradable because they are typically embedded onto the motherboard of the device. So you can't change that. So where upgradability is concerned, no, this now is referring to things like your laptop, your desktop computer, your servers. And when you're purchasing any of these devices, you have to consider too the maximum amount of memory that the device can take. So yes, it will come with some amount of memory in it. Well, yeah, obviously. But in addition to that, they make the device so that it can take a maximum amount. So for instance, you purchase a laptop, you go to purchase a laptop, and it has 16 gigabytes of RAM in it, physical RAM in it. That's a laptop. But the motherboard may be designed to take up to 32 gigabytes, which means that you can later then choose to upgrade the memory. That is to add more memory to it to get it up to 32 gigabytes. When it gets to 32 gigabytes, that's it. It cannot technically work with more memory than 32 gigabytes because that is the maximum would have been designed to work with. All right. You also have to consider the amount of memory slots that are on the motherboard. The memory, these are physical modules. They have to be placed somewhere. So you have to consider if you have slots on the board to take the memory, and how much more you can actually add to it. So that is those are things that you have to consider when you're going to be upgrading. All right, and as I mentioned, the maximum support, the speed. I just spoke about that. You have to consider. You have a laptop currently, or you have a desktop computer. It may be running a bit slow. You want some more memory. You can just go into the store and say, "Hey, sales rep, sell me some memory," or go to Amazon and okay, that looks nice. Let me pick that one. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to look at your what you call it, your manual, the manual for the device, or you can Google the device to see the motherboard that it has, to see what type of memory it uses, and the speed memory that it uses also, so that you get the one that complements your device. Now, how much memory do you need? I cannot tell you. Why can't I tell you? It is purely situational. Everybody's need is different. So the amount of memory you need will depend on what it is that you're doing. If you are, let us say, a gamer, you are running high-end games. If you are into computer graphics, you're using graphic-intensive, memory-intensive, and processor-intensive apps like Adobe Photoshop, your Corel Draw, Adobe Premiere, right? Things like those. Then definitely you need a lot of memory. So here you may be looking at, and again, you have to look at the amount of the type of processor that you have in the system. So you may be looking at anywhere between 16 gigabytes of RAM up. It is purely situational. And of course, the more memory you have in the system, the faster it will be. Also, if your system is running slowly, as in laptop, desktop, or server, running slowly, one of the easiest way, one of the cheapest way to get it running faster, quickly, and quite cheap is to add more memory to it, right? And presuming that you can get the memory, because if you have some legacy device, legacy meaning, you know, old, if it is pretty old, let's just say if it uses older than DDR4 memory, you're gonna find that the memory may be difficult to be had. Well, I guess you'll be able to get it online, probably like on eBay or in Amazon, but you'll also find that the memory is going to be quite expensive. And also, finally, the sodium. So I mentioned this already. Sodium is what is used in your laptop. So you need to bear in mind that, you know, the memory that is used in a desktop is not the same as that is used in a laptop, right? The physical, you know, the form factor is different. All right, so yeah, so this is it now. Just summarizing. So, memory is a generic term. The thing is that memory is, so when we talk about memory, you know, memory here, as we would have looked at here, RAM and ROM is not the same thing as memory, like a memory card. It's different. Memory and storage they're not the same. Also, well, I mentioned this, that memory card is not the same thing as RAM and ROM. The concepts are different. So memory is a generic term, can be applied to different things. Where RAM is concerned, RAM is that thing that we more so interact with when we're using the device. So right now, you're watching the presentation on your device. That application that you're using, your browser, is housed right now in RAM. And of course, the faster we want the system to be, you know, the more memory we have to have. RAM now stores the firmware, so the firmware now will be the instructions which tells the system, you know, how to operate. Typically, you'd have your boot instructions there in the RAM chip on the motherboard. All right, so that concludes my presentation looking at the difference between RAM and ROM. Please remember to like, share, and to subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet done so. And hit that notification bell also, so that when I upload a new video, you'll be automatically notified. I'm Roger. See you again in the next video.